Okay, cool. Looks like we're live. Okay, cool. Um, I am putting a timer. Oh, okay. Putting a timer up. Let people in. I'll play some Borderlands until that finishes. Let me set this up. Make sure I see what everyone else is seeing. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Hey Bubbly. Hey Chad. Hey Afriel. We're just kind of catching up to where we were last time. Oh no, did I equip that? I don't want that. For some reason, I feel like there's some screen tearing going on. Not ideal. And we'll just, we'll let this go. Oh. I'm gonna have to remember how this all goes, what build I'm going for, but, yeah. The plan is to, once the timer's done, well, I'll give my little announcement, my little monologue, and then after that's done, I'll probably just keep playing for a little bit, answer any questions people have, about anything, and then we'll just do that. Oof. And there are a lot of these guys around. Hey Raquel, how's it going? We're just letting the timer run out real fast. That way everyone can get in. Ooh. Dang. I don't know if this is more brutal than last time. This is crazy. Yeah, Chad, I'm working on the liturgies. This is a new thing, so we'll see if this is something that is helpful or not. Just to check in, is all the sound doing good? Is it too loud in any bits or anything? Okay, cool, cool. Dang. Seems like the end of the line there. You can give a troll, and I will double check. Uh, yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess it is appropriate to troll. But you gotta use it right. You can't all the time do it because then I won't believe it, you know? You need a to avoid a boy who cried wolf scenario. Dang. Oh, oh, ah. Oh. Well, timing is almost perfect. So that works out well. Okay. Let's switch over. Okay, cool. Hello, everybody. So I just want to take a second to make a little bit of an announcement. So I've been making videos on my channel actively for about 8 months now. Kind of doing a bunch of stuff, trying to make a video at least every week. And for the next 3 weeks or so, I'm planning on kind of taking a break from the internet. And so I just wanted to let everyone know. If you happen to not see me as much for the next 3 weeks, that's why. Just trying to take a time to get some of a break going, and then I'm gonna come back strong and make some stuff. So it's a little bit of like a rest and reprioritization. I'm thinking about going back to making more of the gaming content that I used to, but still trying to find a way to apply it to these bigger ideas that I've been trying to explore. So all of this has been a kind of a bridge that I'm trying to build, and it's just kind of continuing on that pattern and trend. And so that's mostly my announcement. So some plans I have is uh, next month I'll probably start making doing some streaming of just playing Fallout or something with a certain philosophy in mind, and doing it that way. So I'll be doing more streams probably to go along with that. And I might not do it for all the times I'm doing that, but for some of the time. So I'll be able to do a little bit of that, record gameplay for those videos, and then do a lot of editing. And so my plan is bigger projects, and then any other videos will probably be, for the most part, conversations that I do with people, because I think those are really good, and they don't require a lot of effort other than just talking and showing up and being there. So those are my plans. Yeah, so I know that I'm kind of around TLC like a good bit, and so it's gonna be kind of tough to be away and to not see you all as often for again just 3 weeks, but it's still I think it's gonna feel like a lot. So I'm not completely gone. Uh, if you have my number or my Discord or whatever, feel free to message me. I'm happy to talk. I'll be in the Discord that's linked to this channel. So if anyone ever needs to get in contact with me, I'm still there. But my plan is just to be kind of away. Afriel is asking about anything that I'm doing. I'm kind of taking like this first week. I'm taking like a spiritual kind of um, time to reflect. So I'm trying just to kind of cut a bunch of stuff out and just kind of be quiet a little bit more. That's my plan. I do a lot of stuff even at work. I'm listening to these videos and everything, and so I just have a lot of stuff going on. And so I thought it'd be nice just to be like, okay, we're gonna be concentrating um, and trying to find ways of like I don't know reading things that I've been not reading in the past. So doing that, maybe doing some writing. The second week is just kind of continuing that, but less serious. It's more of a transition period. And then the third week, I'm going on vacation. So Memorial Day week, I'm heading out, uh, and yeah, having a good time with the wife. And yeah, so that's my plan. That's my update. Otherwise, just kind of reflections on how this has all gone so far. Oh no, McMo, you arrived at an awkward time. Um, uh, but yeah, so far it's been a really good time. I've had a lot of fun just making all sorts of different videos, and my goal is to maybe have a little bit more focus on all of this and to kind of put these experiments into something bigger. So I'm I'm happy and I'm looking forward to it. And I think there's a lot of cool stuff. And my goal is just to kind of um, give up time now. That way, the future will be more productive. So, uh, uh, yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. Um, Again, I'll be available to talk to. So if anybody is worried, I'm doing okay. Uh, but yeah, so I will see you all again after today in June, and I have a video planned for next week. So I made a video this morning that will post next week. Um, and that's about it. Yeah. So I'm a I can answer any questions. I'll probably just keep playing and talking through some of the stuff I've been thinking through. But yeah, those are my plans. And if anybody asks, just around, this is a video that you can point them to. It's only 5 minutes into the video, so I thought it would be useful, and then they can do that. McMo, you're asking if I'm still going to be in Hive Minds. Probably not. So I won't be able to make it to Chad's premiere tomorrow, or on Monday. I will be mostly out. Um, I'm part of me is like, oh, but I could be in the middle week, but I'm like, no, I think I'm gonna stay away for now. Just so I can kind of be more prepared when I come back. So yeah. Um, but McMo, you can always call me or talk or text. Like it's gonna be okay. But Chad is asking, up to this point, what has been the most interesting takeaway of this time? Ooh, it's been this game. Well, all my conversations kind of have a little bit of this, but I think the active processing of the game you're playing and um, actually living it out. Like when I first started YouTube stuff, um, I didn't consider how much um, the numbers could get under your skin really easily because you'll put a lot of work into something and you'll spend a long time on it and then it doesn't get a lot of reaction, and then you'll put 2 seconds of work into something and it blows up. And so I I think noticing that was a big change for me of saying like, oh, I need to reconfigure. So there's been a lot of like reconfiguring that understanding of like, what am I doing here? And trying to find out what I find to be the best part or the most fun part of this. But really the most fun part has been like meeting all the people and talking to people and having this kind of back and forth communication. That's been honestly the best part. So, um, man, I missed the opportunity to call this State of the Union. I might have to retitle this. That sucks. Um, but other than that, yeah, yeah. Um, I'll probably go back to this now, and I'll keep talking. But I'm so mad at myself that I missed the State of the Union part. That was like the only joke. Also, I don't know what it is, but the face-to-face stuff, like right then, felt really awkward. Like to be live and to like be talking to you all. Like with a camera. This feels a lot more natural, at least, to be the side-by-side stuff. And to just talk. Yeah, McMo, it's just a little break. It's I was already planning. I had felt the need to take a little break this upcoming week, and then my wife scheduled a vacation, or I guess she's been wanting to do a vacation, and we've been trying to find a time for it. And having a day off of work already on Memorial Day gave us an excuse to take a whole week off. And so there's a middle week there, and then I thought, well, if I'm taking 2 weeks off already, maybe it would be good to kind of take the time to take that off too. So, if it makes you all feel better, I am also not planning on playing video games as much. So I'm giving up a lot too to do this. But I'm not necessarily looking forward to it, but I also know that it's going to be really good in the end. So that's what I am looking forward to, is the experience and the refreshness on the other side. This is also the first vacation that the wife and I are going on since we've gotten married, like by ourselves. So that's a piece of it too. We never really went on a real honeymoon or anything, and so we will eventually. But this is the closest thing we've gotten so far. So that is also a very important part of this. Ooh. Chad, you may have to rephrase that. I don't quite understand what you mean by the overall reluctant collective. Uh, Reluctant collective. I might be missing something. Oh no. Oh no. It's too far. Oh, there we go. We've been thinking about reading some together. I'm trying to think of books. What we've been doing is we've been listening to The Great Divorce together on audiobook, and we finished that. So we're thinking about doing it again for something else, maybe like Mistborn, the Brandon Sanderson. For TLC. Okay, so for the for TLC stuff, do I have any hopes? My hope is that people continue to get involved. Like my hope is that when I get back, that there will be people who are still interested in talking and stuff, and it's just grown. And that's, I don't know. I mean, in general, I hope that we don't kind of get sucked down a pathway of talking about talking. That we actually talk about things that are, I mean, it is all of it's important, but talking about things that are important, that are actually practical, and aren't very in on yourself. I'm missing some of these questions. What did she think of the internet stuff? She's happy about it because I don't think she feels as comfortable with her state of having a hobby, and so she's very thankful that I at least have something. But we've been talking about trying to find more things to do together. We've been playing video games for a while, like in the past together. We're trying to get back into that, and so finding ways to work together. At one point, she seemed really interested, and she might still be on working on making video games together. So we might do that a little bit at some point, because she's getting into art stuff, and so it would be fun to learn some new tools and to I don't know, have a creative project together. But in the end, it's about the relationship and not the product. So I think Neil has given that recommendation to me in the past. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how many of you know the whole reason I started all of this was because I have a friend who is really adventurous. He's like, he was in underground boxing and was winning a lot of money doing that. He ended up like doing mountain climbing. He was a diver, professional diver for like a fishery. He's a volunteer firefighter. Like he's done everything. And one thing that he mentioned is that every year he takes something and then he basically puts his all into it. And if it goes well, then you know, he might continue to do it. But if it doesn't, then he can just abandon it and then you know, try something new. And that was really encouraging. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do that too. I'm gonna take something and I'm going to just do it all with all I can. And so that was the idea, and this is kind of the product of it is this YouTube channel of trying to do that. And so it's been a great experience, and it's definitely something I want to continue. I don't know if I will be doing this ever full-time or anything like that. I have a hard time with some of the editing stuff and being able to sit down that long. But I love the conversations, and I love all that stuff that's come from this. And so trying to find a way to communicate some of these ideas, I think that's been always part of this. For a while I was writing on Substack, and that was a good medium, but it didn't really feel like it could get to people. And that was an important part for me, is what's the point of thinking about all these things if in the end it doesn't ever get to the person or gets to anyone, really? And so I've been trying to... I don't want that. Gross. We'll just stick with this. And so, I thought videos would be a good way of doing that, because I really enjoy watching YouTube stuff, so why not kind of engage and participate with this? And, yeah. There's been a lot of great things that have come from it, so I'm very thankful. And this guy needs to turn around. Sheesh. Okay, that works. Yeah, my friend, he's kind of lives, he's not too much older than I am. So, you know, there's people around here who will say stuff like, you know, Noah is only like 23 and he's doing all these things and he's thinking about all these things, but this guy is like the next level. He is a very impressive guy. So, but he's impressive in the way that inspires people to do more, which I think is something I aspire to as well. Not the type of person to kind of make people feel less and feel like they can't do anything. So I've been really thankful for his friendship in that. Ooh, I'm just thinking too. Chad was talking about the things I hope for TLC. I hope we can get to a point where we can talk about meta modern stuff and not have it be reacted to as if it's just this like horrible thing. I think there's something interesting going on there. And I wouldn't even call myself a meta modern, but like it feels super like there's like a lot of rejection going on out of more personal stuff, it feels, and not out of actual consideration. So that's one thing I've noticed, and I've been kind of like, oh, I don't know about that. And so I think it can be as understood as simply as just a system of understanding a phenomenon, and then you can reinterpret that and say it's you know, a return to traditionalism plus maybe. I know Brendan Graham Dempsey would say that's not metamodernism, but I don't know. It seems to me to be plenty metamodern. Well, it's funny. I tried reading Ranger's Apprentice once when I was really young, and I got like a page in. There were like 10 words I didn't know what they meant. Like they were referring to like factions or something in this world, and I felt like I was like missing an entire book, and so I just stopped and I never read it again. So maybe I need to give it another chance, but that was a interesting experience. Also, hello, Drake. Welcome. I think I need to do a conversation with you. I haven't done a conversation with you since the first one we had, and I think it'll be fun. And Afriel, please hold them to it. They won't only navel gaze. That we won't go, like, that was my first experience in making stuff in the TLC. Like, that week or whatever, when I was first starting to do stuff, it was a lot of, what does this mean? That was, like, very much the Peterson sphere era. And I don't know. It felt like a little much. But I don't mean to be too aggressive either, because, you know, there's plenty of good that comes from that navel gazing. And there's some good work to be done there. But I enjoy the integration part of it all, to bring everybody closer together and to better understand both the ideas and what's going on here, and how we can do better at you know, the personalism stuff. I think Grim told me one time to tell everybody what's going on, so that we don't, I don't know, so that I don't have to listen to all the dialogue, but I still can not leave people fully abandoned. So, Roland here, we came to save him. He was the big MacGuffin. And now he's being kidnapped from the prison, and we're introduced to a whole bunch of new enemies. These robots. And these robots are led by someone we haven't met yet, other than the very intro of the game, named Handsome Jack. He is probably one of the best characters in recent, antagonists in recent video game times. I don't know. It's the best way to put that, but... So... yeah. Oh, no worries, Chad. Thanks for stopping by and taking the time to talk and to you know, help me with my stream. So thank you. I felt bad. I didn't want to completely interrupt your stuff. I actually did mean to come in and to join your conversation you were having, because it was really good. So, thank you for hosting that. Thanks, Clint. Thanks for swinging by. I will consider Ranger's Apprentice if I have it in my capabilities. I feel like there's a million books that I keep getting recommended, and I still haven't finished the Dante's Divine Comedy. I feel bad because I know of it enough that I can have a conversation about the Divine Comedy. I've only read Inferno, but throughout that whole conversation with Brendan Graham Dempsey, whenever he brought up the other stuff, I was like, oh yeah, the part in that one book, yeah. So that is something I actually do need to read eventually. Ooh. Oh no, I can't be using this gun. Libby is really nice. I do that. I've been using the Spotify audiobooks because it's just really convenient for what I need it for, but the problem with that is that their books are limited, and they only let you listen to like a certain number of hours, which sometimes is okay, sometimes it's just not nearly enough of just to finish one book. Sometimes you have to time things out weird. It's just kind of strange. Don't think I have a weapon for these guys. I would need a something that does yeah. The green damage, I don't remember what it's called. Acid, caustic, something like that. Oh, the worst part about this whole Spotify audiobook thing that I will say is that the choice is buy the audiobooks, or if you want more time, it costs like an arm and a leg just to get a few more hours. And I feel like it would just be easier to say, like, you know, to check out a number of hours and credits or something. I don't know. Finding a way around it. It does not seem like a very good system for what they're trying to do, but I'm not going to blame them. Ooh. I actually really like the design of this area. I think it's really well done. The environmental storytelling is interesting enough. And it feels a little bit better and it's like more fleshed out. A lot of these are cool, cool arenas, but I'll have to check out the big book, Chad. I need to brush up on my my AA stuff because I think I don't know. I've been thoroughly convinced at this point that it does. I mean, that's basically what we're doing. So it's good to not have to, you know, reinvent the wheel if you don't have to. That's what I'm trying to say. Dang. Cool, cool. I don't know, it took me a long time to notice this, that this is Marcus the gun stealer up here. As like gun Buddha. Just randomly. Very fascinating to me. Again, the environmental storytelling, the fact that this is a bandit camp and this is the arms dealer who doesn't really care about who he sells to, he just wants the money. And so he even has that, and then there's the whole backstory behind this area that shows up. Very well done. Very cool. This guy should have died before. Funny. Nope. Oh. Please be something. Something. I think, one thing I'm curious about is just what people have, I don't know, connected with the most. Because I have an idea of like what I enjoy making, but I'm still always curious to hear like at least what people feel about the stuff on my channel. If anybody has thoughts, because I really enjoy the conversations, having the videos that I'm kind of giving, talking over gameplay and stuff. I think is really fun for kind of, I don't know, engaging in a old genre that I've always enjoyed, the kind of the weekly slap style of Call of Duty commentary, drawing on that that tradition. So and my goal for this entire thing has always been to try to like make a twist on all these things, to not try to totally just do what I've seen before. But at the same time, that's also a thing that can be helpful to learn too. And so a lot of this has just been a big learning process on like what connects with people in a way that I can, you know, again, connect with people well, but at the same time doesn't you know, get rid of the creative aspect entirely. It's the, I mean, that sounds like something that McMo, you probably think about a lot too, in making art. Oh. There we go. Sorry, I'm just reading through these messages real fast that you're sending in. Yeah, I think I've this is the thing, I like doing, there's some things I like doing, right? And I think everything I've done I've enjoyed doing. There's very few things I've done that I've kind of felt like pulling hair out. So that's a good sign, in general. But man, there are no like weapons that are going to be good for this area. Do I not have any like? This might be just a fun time. Okay. And so, yeah, again, I think it's all that balance of like, I don't know. I I could make something completely incomprehensible that would be part of it, right? That you can make something like a piece of art that's incomprehensible, but it's exactly what you want to do. Or you could try to connect it to people. And so I'm trying to find that balance of like, I don't want to change what I'm doing. Like, I don't want to compromise on the important stuff. But I do like making things that people want to engage with to a certain extent. And so it is a really tough ground to fit into. But all things are like that. And so, man, he recovered all of that? Dang. Okay, this might be a bad day. Dang. He really is just summoning, like, the most annoying enemies to deal with. Let's see if we can just do something stupid. And... oh, come on. Ooh, ooh. He really just does restore this really fast. Oh, there we go. Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, I think, McMo, I think part of that has been really fun to explore is like the creative process. I don't know. I wouldn't have said I was a creative person before I started all this. But now that kind of I've done this, I've really fallen in love with the idea of making things creatively instead of, you know, manufacturing things or making systems. With computer science, you can kind of get stuck in that mindset. And I've really enjoyed that other side of things. So, oh, there we go, there we go. Okay, cool. Chapter 8. So, you save Roland from his nonsense. And then we continue on our way. There's not really an easy way to increase your damage, which is not ideal. Gun damage with pistols. Gun damage with 2 guns of the same type. Yeah, and this is like survivability and punching. So we might just continue on this way. Probably with a little bit more ammo. Well, have a good one, Drake. Yeah, I know one thing's for sure is that if there's any like ideal place I want to go with, I mean, life in general, I want it to look somewhat more creative in some way, shape, or form. NDS Micmo. This is Sanctuary. They're talking. They're catching up because they are old. They're a couple. There's a lot of weird stuff that plays with like the first game is all about, you know, all these characters and you play as them. The second game you play as a different set of characters and you're interacting with the characters of the first game that all now have personalities. And then it just kind of goes down. You know, you're always engaging with characters, and very few times, you know, you're making real choices or anything. This is one thing that comes to Borderlands. It's very, very linear. Minor choices along the way, but they're very quest independent. And so you don't really get the chance to fully kind of embody a character. It's very kind of predefined for you, which is an interesting point. I don't know if anyone here is like waiting on whatever announcement there was, and I assume that most people would check the beginning, but if you're looking for that, that's at the beginning. And also I'm free to talk about any questions or things that are on anyone's mind. I'm just kind of letting myself be available and to talk or think about things. And on a lot of these things, I know I'm also wrong, and I'm working on it. Yeah, it's a lot more piloting. That's right. So the immersion isn't quite there, which I like. I like the immersion side of things, but I also know that that's not everyone's cup of tea. People want to just be along for the ride. But I don't know. I'm a huge fan of like the real like I don't know, the role-playing game. I mean D&D is kind of the big inspiration. It's the one that always comes to my mind. Being able to make a character and fully enter. I mean, yeah, I kind of go over a lot of this in the Fallout stuff that I've made, or I don't even know how I want to put it anymore. I think it's like, I've called it the Moral Engine series, but something along those lines. That was always my idea, is that it's a safe place to process. That RPGs provide a lower stakes platform to ask important questions and to process ideas that you don't necessarily get in other genres or other game design philosophies. And that was my attitude towards D&D early on when I first started playing. Was that I wanted to make characters that I didn't fit with, Like it was not, I was not my character. At first it was, right? You make a character usually just to see. But Flint's tinderbox, why? Weird. And from there, I was just really interested in trying to find ways to do that. And video games were kind of the way that I found to be the most helpful. Especially, you know, RPGs. This is one of my more favorite maps of Borderlands 2. There's just something about like the environment was just really fun to kind of engage with. Oh no. What? Thing. There we go. There's just kind of several layers. There's also several kind of sections of this map. And so the Borderlands kind of style of, I'm trying to remember. Borderlands 3 was still like this too. Of this kind of combination of hub and map. But I like the idea of having these kind of central areas that all branch out into like dungeons. It just seems very clever to me. I know that's probably just stolen from like Diablo or whatever, but really cool way to process all of that. Well, now I get an excuse to talk about whatever I want. Unless somebody tells me they want to hear about something else. Or I could just ignore them. But one thing that I've been thinking about a bit is this kind of modernism and metamodernism frame. And it's helpful, but I think sometimes we get lost in the framing of everything. And I don't know, letting other people make decisions for you about how you should interpret something, I think is really not good. You should always be, again, playing the game with other people. And as soon as you're kind of like pushing people out of the game, it's not good. And I've been noticing that a little bit with some of these Brendan Graham Dempsey conversations. It doesn't feel, I mean, around the conversations is more of the people who aren't in the conversations on the outside. Sometimes it feels like there's just not interest in having the grander discussion and actually kind of struggling to integrate, which, you know, is exactly the opposite of what I think is helpful. And so that was my goal for that conversation, was to kind of bring it all together and to, even though I disagree with Brendan on a few things from what I've heard, I didn't want to, and I knew that this was a possibility, but I didn't want to come in and try to talk at him and tell him where I think he was wrong. I thought it was really, it worked out really well to just kind of talk about the things that I think we had a lot in common. And then that, I feel like that gave us a good platform for future discussions, or will. So I'm looking forward to that. My experience with piloting games versus embodying games. Hmm. I'm trying to. I. You're kind of pushing this. This sounds bad, so I'm not. That's not the way I want to say that. Your framing is kind of new to the way I'm thinking. I just think, oh, these are these type of games or these type of games. I haven't thought of it as a piloting game versus a an embodying game, because I think there's some that just kind of don't quite fit into either. Um, for example, like, you have Pillars of Eternity, which has a lot of choice, but there's like a lot, like there is a route that you're going down. Like you're going down this story, similar to the Fallout games. But what's interesting is like New Vegas seems to have a pretty open-ended attitude towards its story. You can resolve it in any way, and you really don't have to preserve any faction. So this idea of a fully open, what as open-ended as I've seen any other game, um, that was really impactful on me. Um, and then just trying to find more examples of that and trying to work through that. So that's been most of mine. I don't know. I've really bounced off a lot of piloting type games, but other ones I haven't had a problem with. It really depends on how. I think one of them is like Spec Ops: The Line. People love that game. I have a really hard time with that game, mostly because its twist is forced on you, and again, it's this taking away of agency. You don't get to actually do the thing. It gets I mean, it's part of the respect thing, right? It it doesn't feel like a respectful it's respectful to the player. It wants the player to make a bad decision so that the game can say, "Oh, this is an anti-war game." I don't know. It's a very well made game. It's very cool, and if it hits right for someone, I think it's great. But if you don't get that moment the way that it's intended, it can really mess with the experience. Um, yeah, I think that's the key to all this, is that in the end, the most important part about this whole kind of area of conversation is that we need to be able to, I mean, this seems like so trite, but you need to be able to respect people you disagree with. And I think Bo and I talk about this, and I think the way that we framed it there, I think is really good, which is it's not tolerance, and it's not like just kind of calling someone out. It's somewhere in the middle. It's I I care about you enough that I'm going to take you seriously. And it doesn't feel like we get a lot of that anymore. Um, and I know, yeah, I know there's a lot of ways to look at it, but it's been helpful. Um, Man, we're still missing a third one, fourth, fourth slot. Ooh. Well, and thinking about people disagreeing, right? What it comes down to a little bit is that, and I kind of got into this in the conversation, the conversation of on Chat's channel, which is that in the end, you're you're always encountering people who disagree with you, and that's just part of the way this all works. And so they're going to challenge you in plenty of ways, and your job is to take that challenge and correctly identify what in your conception needs to adapt to account for whatever they have to offer. And maybe they don't have anything to offer, but I don't think that's true. I think everybody has something at least that they bring to the table. And that is a hard thing to prove, but it's one of these experiential things that I think is part of it. Oh, come on, there we go. That in the end, you know, each person is important and brings something to the table, and if we're able to integrate these things, then we're going to be much better off. But now I'm beginning to sound like a hippie, so I might stop and not go any further than that. Or maybe I need to steal it from the hippies, you know? They can't have all the fun. Oh, dang. Okay. Oh. Interesting. The idea of like teachers and students, I think, is really, really important. Um, in my experience, and I don't know if this is how everyone else feels, but I think for the most part, people agree that the teachers that challenge you to grow the most are often the best teachers. They're the ones who actually get you interested in a topic. And it seems like that wouldn't be the case. It seems like, you know, ideally we would want to be bored or something, but ends up like if there's no point in being in a classroom, then who cares? So you want to be challenged. And so there's a certain dynamic, like simultaneously strict dynamic between a teacher and a student that is really helpful. But also deep respect. I think this is where the respect comes back in. Because if you don't have that layer of respect, then it's like a tyranny. But if everyone's goal is to grow, including the teacher, then, you know, that's ideal. Well, so Afriel, you're talking about like the teachers. So the teacher who teaches algebra could be better used somewhere else, and someone else could have that time, which I think is true. And so it really depends on the person. But I think one thing that Chad has been getting at with a lot of his, wait, it may not be a waste of time, but yeah, oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, I was worried I had misread what you said. So, but at the same time, there's something to being that mentor. Often you'll grow in understanding more than you'll know, and so maybe it is better that, you know, student teachers get that experience. But maybe it also is better if the people who you don't expect will need that experience or will need to do that also have that experience. And some of this has to do with like the game you're playing. So people will talk about like, oh, like communication isn't really that important if I can get results. However, it is extremely important for like living a life. It's quite essential actually. And so trying to find ways that challenge yourself, and not necessarily in the ways you want to be challenged. That is the hard line that's being drawn here. And oof, sometimes that requires someone else on the outside to comment and say, you know, this is what you need, and the discernment to say if that's correct or not. That's a whole nother kind of bag of worms. Not easy in the least. Right now, for context of the game, we are trying to help Tiny Tina, a 13-year-old girl with a passion for killing people.
Chew.
Sheesh. We're trying to help her throw a tea party. And there's a bit of a twist to this tea party, as can be expected from a 13-year-old girl who likes killing people. And I wonder what that twist is going to be. Sheesh. A voluntary objector or an objective partner. It's interesting. And I really do not like these enemies up here. They really just... Oh, gosh. What was I watching the other day? I was watching the new Puss in Boots movie. And they have Jiminy Cricket shows up. And I thought it was interesting to bring him up, but I felt like he was he was made a joke character, which I don't like. I don't know. Something about making the conscience like the butt of a joke feels a little odd. But it just reminded me of the character of Jiminy Cricket, of being this, yeah, like you said, the one who walks with. He's a participant. He is a, yeah. I mean, the Jiminy Cricket, JC, Jesus, there are connections there, I think, for a reason. But this framing of, you know, a companion on the journey who might know more than you, but can't make the choices for you. And that's really valuable. And not everybody like has a really obvious person that can fill that role. You know, you're right. You're right. Yeah, conscience is just it's just mind control. Well, and this gets into this thing. I had never explored this idea as much as lately when Brendan brought it up, and I felt like it was a worthwhile distinction between our two worldviews, I think, which is the importance of eminence versus emergence. Because I'm pretty far down the eminence route. Like I think most, I think, and I'm gonna make this statement, and this might not be true at all, but I think most artist types lean down the eminence. But it's just interesting to me that Brendan kind of seems to go the opposite. His general leaning seems to be the other way, even though I think we both agree that there's a bit of both in all the things that we're talking about. And I think how you frame it is really important, especially for the not consciousness, conscience discussion. Because if your conscience is just a kind of piece of you, then is no different than, you know, the bad parts of you as well. It's just another piece. And so you could easily see something about that it's just you can ignore it just like anything else. We were talking about the two or more gathered. And this is more of a leaning. It's not really a complete statement, right? I think, I don't know. All I can say is what I like, the intuition I have. I can't really go much further than that. I think there is something extremely powerful about group dynamics. That there is a spiritual aspect to that. That's like really, really strong. However, I think it gets overemphasized. But I'm willing to be corrected. And that's kind of why I bring up the whole, like, everybody has something to offer. I think that's part of it too, is that, like, when how about this, okay? We can both see something, right? We both have the ability to look at an object. And that object is like a diamond. And diamonds might not be the best, but the Earth, we'll say. The spherical Earth. The globe. So we both see a perspective on it. And I can get a good idea from my perspective, right? If I see a land mass and some ocean, I can get a good idea. Oh, okay, so this is all made of land mass and ocean. But maybe someone else has a perspective of, there's a lot of water on here, on my side. Therefore, it must almost entirely be water, because that's what I see. That's all I see. And so, we both have our things, and one person can be more right than the other. But when we come together, we have a more true vision of what's actually there. But sometimes when we come together, we can become more mistaken. Or maybe not more mistaken. We can reinforce something that's not completely true. Because both of the perspectives do see something that's true, but it's the assumption that's made outside of it that's the part that can cause a problem. So if we can see it for this case, then how do we avoid it for, you know, the case where I actually don't know if I'm right, if I'm only looking at the water? And the way you avoid it is, you know, you get into contact with the most number of people possible, and you have those conversations, and you sit down and really have those discussions. And so in a sense, that's where I think the emergence comes from, is this body that is looking together with a variety of perspectives on the transcendentals. That's probably how I would define it, the closest I can. Yeah, exactly. For real. The cylinder looks, if we flattened a cylinder on a 2D plane, from one perspective it's a circle, and the other one it's a rectangle or a square. But it's only when we kind of notice that we see something completely different, that's when we begin to understand. And so if you're mono, I don't remember the word. If you have one eye, you're seeing things one way, and if you have two eyes, you can see it a little bit better. But ideally, we have many eyes, and we share those with our community. And yeah, a lot of this has to do with some of the oh crap, flesh stick. I don't want to kill you. Okay, come on, come on. Doo-doo-doo. There we go. Yeah. And this is the problem with all these kind of ways of looking at it, because, and like just like you're saying, the problem is, by us talking about it, about the whole concept of looking at X object, we already know what that object is. It's only when you enter into the problem. So you can maybe set up a simulation of this where you actually pull up a random shape or something, or a random object, and provide only a certain perspective, and then play it out. But it's when these, and I understand why atheists will get this way, or any other group who it really hates dogmatism of any type, because you're making assumptions that if they're false, they're problematic, or they can cause issues, and that's fair. But the alternative is to think it's all relative, and to think that there is no kind of state, or that I don't want to do the perennialist thing, as much as that gets brought up around here. But yeah, I think I'm coming across enough. I don't know if I need to keep going. Chad, I think you're right there. I think that's kind of the image. But I don't know if I would quite put Christ as that. I think Christ is part of the way that you see things. Like he's the only way to get a view of some of it. That's kind of the way I would put it, at least. Man, I'm not doing well on this. Okay. Again, I think a lot of this has to do with the iron box stuff. And spoiler alert, that is what this my last kind of video is going to be about. My last video, as in the before I go on my break, I've scheduled this one to come out this upcoming week. And it's this idea of like, how do you deal with your conception of the world? Like, how do you process that? It's definitely something that is very important to fully come to grips with. Oh no, 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 no. Okay, thanks for swinging by, Chad. I'm looking forward to, again, keeping in touch. I'm not fully distant, or will not be fully distant. My goal is to still be somewhat involved if needed. Just not to be fully... Oh, come on. Come on. Oh, come on. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Oh my gosh. Okay. Drag your prejudices into the light. Yeah, I think that's part of it. It's not being willing to be challenged, being willing to put yourself in a really difficult place. And you know, I think there is also a time and place for it, because you can't always be in that spot. There are times when it's just, you're not, you know, you have to voluntarily put yourself into the challenging place. And I don't know, I've definitely found myself in difficult times in my life, and so having when it's easier, that's when I can kind of voluntarily enter the challenge. Oh, 1 second.
Sorry, what's up?
Oh. Okay, okay. Well, we'll do this. I'm gonna probably have to hop off. The wife just got home from a long day of work, so I'm going to talk to her. But thank you all for whoever's been kind of sticking around. It's been great talking. Thank you, Chad and Afriel and Drake and Clint. I'm trying to remember who all was here. Neil, McMo. It was great hearing from you all. I'm gonna talk to some of you even before the end of today. But again, if anybody wants to keep in contact, I'm available. But I just won't be online as much. So I will see most of you in 3 weeks, and with, you know, hopefully a lot more energy and making some cool new stuff. And I'll be sure to be thinking of some ideas and making something, you know, unique and creative. So that's my plan. Thank you all for checking this out, and I will see you all later. Have a good one.